Right. If you are just popping by, you have clicked by Just Stamp with Anna Marie, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today's class is going to be a shaker card in 9 simple steps, but one more thing. Before I jump into today's class, let me share last week's class, in which I shared with you the floating frame card technique in just 9 simple steps. We made 2 cards because that's a 2-for-1 technique, and I used the Magnolia Mood bundle and got 2 cards. Now, thanks to another email subscriber, and I think this was Kay, I'm not certain, she asked if there were other stamp sets that I might recommend, because she doesn't own the Magnolia Mood bundle. And of course I emailed back my suggestions, and I'm here to share with you a couple of those that were on the list. So first of all, I suggest you get that Magnolia Mood bundle because it is beautiful. It stamps up so pretty without a lot of effort. But without that, perhaps you own the Crafting with You bundle. This is a bundle that is carrying over. And here it is, Crafting with You. Here are the 2 cards that I made. Remember, it's a 2-for-1. The nice thing about this stamp set, one, it has the dies, so you don't have to fussy cut the images for the floating frame. And 2, I'll tell you what I look for when I'm doing this floating frame technique. I want something that has images in a variety of sizes. So there are large focal point stamps, and there are also smaller ones that you can float in there in between. This one's a knockout stamp set because it also has the sentiments that you can use. So here we go. Here's my deckled rectangle focal point, and I just use the handmade that comes from Sending You a Handmade Hug. And then here's the frame itself, and you can kind of see there's a pair of scissors hanging off there, the spools, all the various images. A perfect bundle, in my opinion, to make the floating frame card set. And this is a bundle that is carrying over, and I say a bundle that's carrying over. Right now you can still get it at bundle pricing. When we go into the 24-25 catalog, these 2 items will still be available, but separately. You will pay the full price for the stamp set, full price for the dies. So the advantage to shopping now is to get that 10% savings. There's one other suggestion for the floating frames card technique. I do have another suggestion because we have Father's Day coming up. We have a need for more masculine cards, and these are the floating frame cards that I created with the Trusty Tools bundle. And you know what? In all honesty, I didn't even use the stamp set. I used the coordinating paper that was offered during celebration, which means I had to fussy cut these images, but I love the way it turned out. Again, a variety of sizes to put on that floating frame. So I've got 2-for-1 Father's Day cards with the floating frame technique. So thank you very much for reaching out and asking questions. It's driving my content a little bit. It's kind of expanding me, my efforts, because I get caught within my own box, and with the help of you, my email subscribers and my viewers, I have more information to offer that you're asking for. So without further ado, let's get started on this shaker card in 9 simple steps. So I will say, I'm going to share with you the card. So here's my fun graduation card. It is a shaker card. Remember, this was by request from an email subscriber as well. I think it was Anna who asked for some graduation card ideas, and this is what I came up with. I love a shaker card. That confetti just looks like a celebration. This is using the Beautiful Balloons bundle, and I just checked. This is a retiring bundle. The stamp set is no longer available, but the dies are. And fortunately, the dies are the focal point of this card. I did stamp with the balloon and one of the sentiments, but you could duplicate or replicate that in other ways. You could put another die cut inside, and you might be able to use an alphabet set to write the short sentiment inside. So, beautiful balloons bundle. I also use the everyday detailed dies to create the frame, and I am going to walk you through all of this. Sadly, these dies are on unavailable status right now, but they will be coming back, I think, either the first or second week of May. So they will be back. I love these frames, the circle frames and the rectangle. They have that pretty dotted effect around the frame. So one more set, let's see, that I'm using. It is also currently on unavailable status, but it will be coming back again first or second week of May. It is called the Wanted to Say dies, and that's how I got my Celebrate title. You'll see my dies are missing from here. So one more thing before we get started on the 9 simple steps. This card is very much adhesive driven. So on this card, I am using tear and tape. I'm using the foam adhesive strips. I'm using the adhesive sheets, and I'm using the mini glue dots. So 4 different kinds of adhesives. Stampin' Up! Offers them all, and I am a loyal Stampin' Up! Girl. I love these products. That's what I'm using. And I grab them off my shelf because there's a good possibility that I am going to run out from my current stash. Okay, so let's get started with the 9 simple steps. Here are the materials that you're going to need to get started. So I'm using a card base in basic black. It's your standard card base, which is 5.5 by 8.5. I pre-scored it down the middle at 4 1/4, and I can go ahead and burnish that with my bone folder right away. Let's get started there, and I'll set that aside. Basic black, I also need another cut, and this measures, oh, I should have pulled up. By the way, I'm going to remind you, if you would like the written instructions for this tutorial, you want to be on my email list. I will be sending this out probably Sunday or Monday, so get on the list to get the written instructions for this. Otherwise, you can just follow along on the video and rewind. So this other piece measures 4 7/8 by 3 3/8. So this one you do need measurements on. We are going to be die cutting that. We also need a basic black scrap for a balloon. Hopefully I've got a big enough piece there. We also need another layer, and this is, oh, let me share with you. This is a retiring specialty paper called the 2325 in color luster paper. This is regularly priced $11. It is retiring, and it is discounted. You get 10 sheets, 2 of each of the in colors. It's the Wild Wheat, Boho Blue, Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and the Pebbled Path. I used the Wild Wheat as a layer here, and this one measures 5 inches by 3 1/2. We need a couple of scraps for die cutting, and we also need another specialty paper, which is retiring. It is called the Gold Celebrations. It's 12 by 12 acetate paper. Oops. And this comes with 3 sheets. The acetates are 12 by 12. There's 3 patterns. So one has that confetti that's falling. So you have a center area where you could have a greeting. There is also the falling confetti pattern, and there's a dotted pattern. Now you're going to see this is gold, but if you flip it over, you have your silver option as well. 3 sheets, 3 12 by 12 sheets, regularly $9. It is retiring. And I just love the weight and I love the decoration on the acetate. So we are going to need the falling confetti pattern, and this sheet measures about 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And I also need a scrap of that as an overlay for the balloon on the card. And then one last, I should say two, we're also going to need a pattern paper. This comes from Nature's Sweetness. It is a specialty paper which is carrying over. It's still available, and this measures 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So those are the papers we need. We also need one last basic white. I believe it's 3 3/4 by 5 for the insert. There we go. So let's get started. And remember, this is 9 simple steps. So let's get started. We're going to start off with step 1, which is the die cutting. So we're going to start with die cutting our basic black. This is going to be the largest rectangle of the Everyday Details die. And, oops, I should have cleaned this die. It is the best way to have all of those small bits released if it's nice and clean. And I didn't do it. Just going to crank that out. All right. You get 2 pieces when you die cut this. You're going to get the insert and you're going to get the frame. So I would save the insert. And look at that. I did a pretty nice job of getting most of those little dots released there. I just used my Take Your Pick tool, another little tool that has a big job. I pop out those pieces there, ready to go. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to set aside that interior rectangle. I also want to die cut a black balloon. And let's see. The black balloon comes from the Beautiful Balloons bundle. And, perfect, I think, yes. Barely gonna fit there. So no waste, right? Let me get rid of that. Gonna crank this out. So step number 1 is to get your die cutting complete. And again, I'm gonna use my, Take Your Pick tool to pop that out right there. And one more thing I need to, perhaps I don't have that one piece of, I don't. And let's see if I can use, I think I can. So I'm going to use this frame. Instead of using a scrap, I'm going to use the frame that I just popped out here. But before I die cut my word, here's what I'm doing. This celebration has the detailed word and it has an outline. I'm going to go ahead and die cut both, but before I die cut my detailed word, I am going to add a piece of that adhesive sheet behind my black cardstock. So let me move this aside. Hopefully it's not too cumbersome here. And what I like to do is just take my adhesive sheet, and I'm going to place that right down at the bottom there. And I'm going to do a second piece. There we go. That way we have the easy adhesive, and we won't have to adhere any more adhesive on that detailed Celebrate. So I'm going to place that right there. We shall die cut both. I'm going to need the handle. We're going to die cut both the detailed Celebrate and the outline. So again, I'm using that luster paper in Wild Wheat, and you just need a small amount here, right there. And let's go ahead and crank that. So I'm thinking that this card is not just a graduation card. It is very suitable for other celebrations like, I don't know, perhaps a new job, perhaps a promotion, or one of my favorites, a retirement. Could even be an anniversary card. All right, so the next thing I'm going to die cut. I'm going to continue on with some balloons, and I am going to double up. I'm using both the acetate sheet and the luster paper, and I want a balloon, the largest balloon in the Beautiful Balloons die, and I have confirmed this will die cut both pieces at once. Crank that through. Literally, you can hear it cranking. All right. And, okay, so then I've got my two balloons. I've got my acetate layer and my wheat, which is mimicking a gold for the card. And put that there. And I think I'm done with my die cutting. Let's go ahead and confirm I've got all my pieces. All right, so I even have it listed here. I have my largest rectangle in black. I have my large balloon. I have my wanted to say detailed word with the adhesive sheet behind. Let's see. And this is one of those delicate dies. You want to be very careful. You don't want to stretch out the word, so I do use my take your pick again to pop out the die. All right, so we have black, and I'm going to kick out those little pieces there again with the take your pick tool. So the take your pick has various attachments. This piercing tool is probably my most used attachment. That and the gum tip to pick up small pieces. All right, so that's there. So I've got my largest die, my balloon, and my black greeting. In the luster paper, I have my balloon and I have my outline greeting. And then in the gold celebrations acetate paper, I have my confetti paper. All right, so we're on to step number 2 already. We did all our die cutting, and I'm going to set those dies aside so I don't lose them. Step number 2 is going to be to apply tear and tape. And I have a roll that I've started, and because I'm going to get sticky, I'm using my silicone sheet. So I'm going to flip over my frame and use my tear and tape. And it literally tears. I use a credit card or debit card to help with the tear, so I have a nice clean edge. So step number 2, we are applying the adhesive behind the black frame. And don't forget, if you would like the written instructions, you need to join the email list. It will be delivered to your email box Sunday or Monday, depending on when I get time to do it. Okay, so I applied that adhesive, and the reason I applied the adhesive is I am going to apply that acetate sheet. Look at this, the take your pick is also very handy for removing the backing on your tear and tape adhesive. Sometimes it's a little struggle between the tear and tape and the human, but with that tool, it makes it a lot easier. Now I'm going to bring in my acetate sheet. I have the gold side up, and I am going to do my best to center this there. So make sure you have all of the die cut pieces, all the little bits removed, because you don't want those blocking there. All right, so that was step number 2. Step number 3, now I'm going to bring in the coordinating designer series paper. from the Nature Sweetness paper pack, and I am going to add my foam adhesive strips, and I do like to snip them. I'm at the edge of my sheet already, and I do have a couple of strips here already the right size. So if you don't use the strips, you could use the foam adhesive sheets as well, whichever you prefer. And I'm just putting them around the perimeter. What I'm doing is creating a container for the confetti. There we go. All right, let's see. I need a couple of smaller pieces, and I already snipped some off my supply sheet there. And one more. So come May, I mean, I know there are already graduation ceremonies going on, so I thank Anna for perfect timing in asking for graduation cards. All right, there we go. So the next thing I'm going to do, that was step number 3, believe it or not. Step number 4, very simple. Now I'm going to fill this little area with my confetti, and here's what I'm using. You could use any kind of sequins or confetti bits. I happen to pull from an old set. This is Embellishments Metallics, and I love it because it's got black, silver, gold, even stars. And I'm going to take my spoon and add about 3 servings of confetti right inside that little area there. They're going to be trapped with those foam strips. So I added 3. Now, if you don't have this, and I mean, you could use any sequence. I also have, and I've used these recently as well. Not too long ago, we had the For Everything Fancy sequins pack. And I'm going to share, I got these when they were discounted for a great deal. They come in a pretty green, a blue, and a pink. All would be very usable on this project. So whatever you happen to have in your stash is going to work out well. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to remove this adhesive backing right here. Just take off the backing of the strip, or the covering, the protective strips. And we are actually already on step number 5. So that's how quick this goes once you have your materials in place and you have your die cutting done. That was step number 1. All right, so I've removed that backing. The next thing I'm going to do is attach my black frame atop this confetti-filled DSP, and I'm looking to make sure, I'm trying to be pretty precise about the placement. There we go. And I should say, if you did go over it, at any time you could take your snips and just remove any excess that's peeking out from behind. All right, so next, step number 6 already. We're going to take that luster paper, we're going to add some, or we're going to secure that atop so it's got a nice pretty gold border. And the way I did that, again, I'm using the tear and tape because the liquid glue doesn't play nice with that finish on the luster paper, and I don't play nice with seal. So you could also use seal or Seal Plus. I would not use liquid glue. I think that's just going to be very messy, and I want a more aggressive adhesives. You don't want to use glue dots for this, so I think tear and tape works nicely. Now I'm going to map that atop that. It's actually wild wheat. I'm going to call it gold luster paper. It looks very, very regal to me. Here we go. And so if you see I'm struggling to remove that backing, make sure it's secure. So sometimes I just take my fingernail and push down on it to make it adhere strongly. There we go. I'm going to flip that over. It gets mounted. And I'm trying to look to make sure it looks like my confetti is falling. And I'm going to step over. You're going to have about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. All right, so we matted our shaker frame to the luster paper. Let's see, and then now next we are going to mat that onto our card base. So lots of matting and layering. And again, because I'm still on that luster paper layer, I'm going to use more tear and tape. This is going to then go onto our card base. It's the focal point of the card. Right through there. Make sure that's nice and secure. And add this to the card base. So this is step number 6 we're on. Through there. And I've got about 3/8 inch border all the way around, I think. There we go. So there's our card base. Next, we're going to assemble our greeting and our balloon. So I'm going to take my outline greeting and I'm going to take the detailed lettering. And very simply, I'm going to remove the covering of the adhesive sheet and kind of fighting some of the bits on there. Now it's sticky, so again, this has to be done patiently, carefully. You don't want to stretch out the word too much because otherwise it's hard to get it back into position. So I start slowly. I'm going to start with the beginning and center that onto the outline and see how easy this is with that adhesive sheet. It would be a hot mess with liquid glue. And I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of make sure that I'm right on the outline. And you have to be careful because the back of this lettering is sticky. So let's see if I can get this back into position here and stretch that over. There and there. Get that R down. There we go. So we have our pretty greeting. And next I'm going to add my acetate layer to my black balloon. And what I'm going to do is use my mini glue dots. So this card truly uses most of my adhesives. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a glue dot behind that gold confetti streamer so that you can't see the glue dot through the acetate. And I'm going to get one more glue dot there. And this gets layered atop the black balloon. Then I'm going to put a couple of glue dots behind the black layer and join it with the luster balloon. So right through here and kind of an angle a little bit. All right, so one more thing that is retiring is the Simply Elegant trim. I love this trim, gold and silver. I'm going to take 2 strands of the gold, and I'm getting kind of messy here, so let's get cleaned up a little bit. I need 4 inches, 2 4 inches. I'm going to use my ribbon scissors to trim it. There we go. So 2 4-inch pieces of the trim. and I'm going to add them to the balloons. I'm going to start with a loop. So just a little loop around and then I'm going to put it right here at put it at the neck of the balloons. So you need a loop that's big enough to slide through that little lip and the neck. There we go. And I'm going to secure that in place with the mini glue dot. And I want to keep my hands off that mini glue dot. So I'm going to take your pick, grab a dot, and place it right here on this trim. Whoops. Trying to secure that. There we go. And I'm going to do that a second time with the other balloon. So I hope you can see. I'm just creating a little loop. I'm going to bring it around the lip and neck of the balloon and bring it over, tighten that up, whoops. There, and I'm going to add another glue dot. Keep that in place right atop there. All right, and there we go. All right, so we have our little strings for our balloons, and I'm going to add glue dots behind the balloons. This is how I'm going to attach it to the card front. And my glue dots are very gummy. It's a bit of a struggle to get them on. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I love having all the adhesives available to do the job. And I'm going to do one more. Put these in position. So I'm going to bring in my card base, my card front, and just put my balloons right down. And I'm going to bring these little strings over. I'm going to want them, whoops, let me go back in view. Let's see. All right, I'm back in view here. This celebrate is going to come right down around there. So I'm trying to get these nice and taut. I'm going to put a glue dot to hold them in position right behind where that C is going to be. So I'm going to put it right here. Both of those little strings, that trim is going to be held down. And then next, more glue dots on the greeting. And I'm trying to put them on the wider bit. So what I'll do is kind of roll it back if the glue dot extends beyond the image. There. So what I mean by that is just, I'm just going to take either my take your pick right through here, roll that over, and then I'm going to add more glue dots on the greeting right through here all the way to the end, and I want it to make sure it's secure. So I'm probably using about maybe 5 glue dots on this word. It is going to land right here, connected with the little strings for the balloons. There is my greeting. So I might trim that down. Actually, I don't mind those being that length. The one thing that's left to do is the inside greeting. Let me grab some basic white. And let's see, I just need to trim this down. So I know it's about 3 3/4 by 5, and I think it's already at 5. Yep, Okay, so I'm going to be stamping finally. We are on step number 9, believe it or not. Let me grab my stamp set. Let's see where I've put my stamp set. And I'm going to use that nice balloon. I'm going to use block D. And by the way, I realize that newbies don't know when you get this kind of a stamp set, you obviously have to have something to mount the stamps on. I highly recommend the Stampin' Up! Acrylic blocks. They are the perfect weight, size, and design for grasping nicely. I'm using the Wild Wheat ink pad, and I'm tapping. I don't want to smush. And I'm gonna get, the goal is to have like a gold balloon. Whoops, let me see. And I'm gonna go ahead and add that right to the top there. Next, I'm going to grab sorry, my acrylic blocks are out of reach right now. So I'm grabbing block C. I'm gonna grab my stamp set, and I'm gonna get my, let's see, my sentiment that says, "You did it." And let's see, this is going to be in Memento Black. And this is a photopolymer stamp set. So my foam or my support is my silicone mat. Right in the middle, you did it. And let's see, I also need a little string. And here it is right in the stamp set. And sadly, this stamp set is sold out. The dies were available just before I came live. And I'm just gonna add that right down here to the balloon. There we go, stamp the balloon. And last step is to insert it, or to glue the insert. So for this, I am using my favorite Tombow liquid glue. Hopefully it's cooperating with me today. I hadn't checked it yet. Make sure the tip isn't plugged, and it's not. It's perfect. All right. And you can see how little I used. I'm a fan of dot, not a lot. I'm going to have about a 3/8 of an inch border all the way around. It says, "Yay, you did it." And again, celebrate. There's my shaker card in 9 simple steps. I think that this card is a great graduation card or promotion, got a new job card, a promotion, a retirement, the gold anniversary, any reason to celebrate. The confetti and the shaking bits just adds to the fun and to the celebration. Guaranteed, this kind of handmade card will get you compliments from the recipient. It's really fun to create. It's simple to create. It's worth all the steps and a little bit of effort. Again, if you would like to shop, I invite you to shop through today to earn equal value retired stamps for your online order. Any purchase, use this code. You can choose from my retired stamps equal value of what you're shopping with. Today is the final day for that retired stamp inventory reduction sale. We are in the final days of the current mini and current annual catalog. Many items will be gone as of Tuesday. New catalog launches Monday. And I'm going to remind you, join my team, start getting your shopping discount. It's fun. lots of perks involved. Just $99 gets you started, and there is a knockout bonus of the in color package available starting May 1. Thank you so much for joining me. If you came in the middle, if you have to catch the replay, you have options. Either catch the replay here on Facebook. Make sure that you comment, let me know you click by, give me a thumbs up or a heart, however you feel. You also have the option of going over to YouTube. Just stamp with Anna Marie as the channel. I noticed that Debbie Scott mentioned she'll have to catch the replay. It's fine. I hope that you try making the shaker card. They are really fun. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.